Welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody had a great week. We're going to continue on with our little console build here, and I think I want to start by addressing this little dude here. I've been thinking about it, and I just am not really satisfied with that thing just sitting on top like that. You know, I kind of try to justify it in my own mind with this little, cover. I think it's important to use it since it faces up. Dust is going to want to be getting in there. If something sloshed out of a drink, it's going to want to go in there. Which there may always be a cord plugged in here anyway. I don't know. But I just don't really like it just sitting there like that. We talked about just recessing it with a bigger circle, but then that makes it pretty much impossible to use this. But I think I want to try to put kind of an oblong recess in here. Maybe a bad idea since this board is already glued down and permanent, but I feel like it needs something. So I'm gonna take a swing at it. Hopefully it doesn't go south. We'll see what we can do. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. I'll be shooting for this middle line here, which matches up with the top one. That's kind of what I want, but I'm gonna start with this one just to be safe, because I'm gonna have to freehand this radius. I want to use some double-sided tape. I'll put some boards. I'll stick them on here to use as a fence for the straight sides. But I don't have any way to make myself a guide for these radiuses. That's the scary part. If you've ever used a router freehand, one wrong move and it could bite and zip out here somewhere. So I'm going to start with the shorter line. That way, if freehanding this radius is just not working, I'll come up with a way to just make it straight. So it'd have a little bit of round corners, whatever the size of the bit is. It'd be straight on the front and the back, which, obviously isn't what we want. But if freehanding this radius isn't doable for me, then that may be what we have to do. So there's a little bit of risk involved here, but I'm going to try to, negate it as much as possible to where we don't ruin this board, because getting it off of here is not really an option. So whatever we do, we got to make sure we can undo. So we're going to give that a shot. It's going to be right at 1/4 inch deep. That is not going to get us right at flush. It's going to be about 1/16 above flush, but I don't want to get too deep to where this becomes a pain to work. So I think 1/4 inch is going to get it where it looks flush. Just won't technically be flush, but I think it's going to look a whole lot better than that right there. So I'm just not loving that. So let's see what we can do here. Got some double-sided tape here. Hopefully it's still good. Don't really go through a lot of this stuff, but I'm just going to get a strip on each one of these pieces. We'll get them stuck down here where they need to be. And then we'll get in here with a router and see what kind of damage we can do. Not going to get a whole lot of surface area on these. I think it should be fine though. Stick that down there. I'm going to use the slick side. This would have been the top or the bottom of the wood, not a cut. So we'll use that as our guide, so we know it's going to be straightest. We'll get it right on our line here. There we go. I think that's going to be good enough just for a fence. Won't be putting a ton of pressure on it, so that should work. Okay. Well, that'll keep us safe on 3 sides at least. So what I'm going to try to do is just get close to the line but not touch it. That way when I get ready to follow that line, I have very little wood to remove. That way it doesn't want to bite. So that's my strategy going in. We'll see how long it lasts. That's what we got so far. I'm feeling pretty good about it. This side's pretty easy because I can see real well. This side is not so much. Plus I'm running into the fence. But I don't want to do away with it. Not just yet. But we will have to take it off to get to this far line or move it back. But honestly, I'm feeling pretty good. I think I might just go for the gusto here. Yeah, let's do it. All right, so right now I've just gotten dangerously close to my line without actually taking it off. So now I've got very little to remove, less than a 1/16. So I should be able to just take my time and ease through here and follow that line and make it look good. If I get done and it doesn't look good, we'll just set up a fence on each end, square it off, and that'll take care of that. But I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think it's going to work out. Yeah, I can feel a couple of little bobbles in there, but you know, we'll get in here and do some sanding on it. Hopefully it'll slick off pretty nice. Yeah, I think that came out about as well as we could have hoped. Yeah, I think we'll just kind of roll the corner, break the edge a little bit by hand here. So there we go. That's what it looks like in there. I think it is about 1,000,000 times better than it was. Pretty happy with that. As you can see, it's still not quite flush, but it's pretty close. Let's turn this. Yeah, so our outlet's just below flush. The little cover is just above flush. That's kind of what I was going for. So yeah, we're gonna take that. I like it. All right, so now that this is done, I think it's time to move on to the back, which is gonna be kind of fun because of this radius. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this board and we're gonna put a slit in it every 1/2 inch or so. I think I'll make a test piece first. I'll just cut a board that's, you know, maybe that wide, 6, 7 inches wide. Put, you know, a slit every 1/2 inch. We'll wrap it around here, see how it fits. And that'll also help us determine exactly how many we need so that it lays on there right. So I guess that's what we're gonna work on now. So here's what we're starting with. Got 7 cuts, 'cause 7's lucky, I guess. And I'm about 1/16 of an inch from going all the way through. They're 1/2 inch apart. So try this out, see where we wind up, make adjustments from there. Hopefully it don't break. It's not reaching all the way across, which is unfortunate, but let's see. I think we need a couple more. Yeah, I think 2 more. All right, so I added 1 to each end of the original 7. So now we got 9. Let's see what that does. I feel like this is gonna get it. It was pretty close before. We're getting a real slight gap in the middle. It's definitely better now than it was. I think we may need 1 more on top here. I think, well, it doesn't matter where we put it, but I think it needs 1 more. Yeah, at least 1. Okay, we're up to 10. And we're running out of board. So hopefully we get there pretty quick. I have to cut another one. I mean, that's dangerously close. I kind of feel like they need to be just a tad bit closer together maybe. We definitely don't need any more cuts. I think we need them a little bit closer together. Let's try this again. All right, so now I've got them 3/8 of an inch apart. And I added 2, I got 12 here. So it's roughly covering the same distance. Because no matter what, we have to cover this radius from, you know, where it gets straight to where it gets straight. So moving them closer together means you just have to add some. That's all there is to it. So hopefully this has got it. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that is as good as we can get it right there. I like it. I think we'll go ahead and mark our last bend here. There's our first cut. So here is our top board. It's going to lay on there like that. So since we have our mark here, we could work this thing around from the bottom to the top. Just make our first cut right here. Do 12 of them 3/8 apart. And then it should lay right where we want it to, and then we can mark the end, cut it off. Well, we're lined right up, which makes sense. It's not really wanting to give me that last little bit, which makes sense. It's a little more stiff since it's going all the way across now. I think. No, I'm going to call it good still. I'm not going to add another one. I mean, there's still a little bit of gap in these last 3 anyway, so it's got more to give. It's just being ornery. Yeah, I think we are good there. So I'm going to hold this. I'm going to go ahead and get a mark on the end here. Go cut this thing off. We'll go 1/8 long like we talked about. And we'll just cut it like that. Okay. Our back piece here should be ready to go. Yep, I think that'll do nice. All right, so my plan for this is to use some construction adhesive. And it's not because I think it's stronger. That wood glue is as strong as it gets, you know, as far as just joining 2 pieces of wood together where you have a good connection there. The reason I want to use that stuff is because I think it's going to stay put better. And I think that it's going to fill these gaps better. You know, I've done this before and tried to use glue. And, you know, even when this thing is fully closed, you still have that wide gap in the bottom, and the glue just runs out. It runs everywhere. It's a huge mess. So we're going to use this. I've used it before, and I don't think it's the same kind, but the one I used last time, it was a little bit runny too. Kind of made a mess of it as well. But we're going to give it a shot. We'll just kind of fill all these grooves up with it and then see how it's going to respond. You know, I think the setup time is pretty quick on this stuff. Yeah, adhere materials within 15 minutes. So that's pretty fast. Of course, just like everything else, it's probably 24-hour cure time, but nonetheless, if it'll start setting up in 15 minutes, then it should, you know, it'll get stiff. So if it looks runny, we'll just leave it laid out. Maybe put some masking tape along the edge to hold it in. And as soon as it starts tacking up or whatever, we'll squish it. We'll throw it on there real quick. But I also think I'm going to go around the perimeter with the construction adhesive, because we're really not going to be able to get in there and silicone the inside. So, I mean, there's really no reason these glued joints should leak air, but if you have a little bit of a gap or there's a little bit of a hiccup in your cut, you know, like there's one right there actually. It's really slight, but probably enough. So this will fill those gaps, should make sure that it's sealed so we don't have to worry about that. So let's give this stuff a shot, see what happens. Fingers crossed, it's going to work out. I've used a few of these over the years. You know, one of the first ones I used, I'm pretty sure it was liquid nails. It seemed like it came out like peanut butter, you know, which is kind of what we're looking for here. The next one I used was white, and it was runny. It was somewhere between the thickness of peanut butter and regular old wood glue. I didn't like it. It was white. I don't know what we have here, to be honest. We're about to find out. Looks like it might be, no, I don't think I got anything there. Yep, it's white. Let's see here. Yeah, this feels like, so far, about the consistency of silicone or something. Yeah, I think it's going to stay put. I think this is going to do what we want. So I'm just going to slightly open this up a little bit. Going backwards is really scary. We don't want to break this thing now. I've done that before too. We're going to jam it down in there as much as we possibly can. It's getting down in there pretty good, I think. And once we close it, it should squeeze down. Because a bunch of it will squeeze out also, but it's the price you got to pay. Yeah, it's going maybe halfway down in there. It's probably about as much as we can ask for. So we might have to hurry. It may take us 15 minutes to fill all these grooves up. First one may start drying on us. Pick up the pace a little bit here. Yeah, this stuff seems like it's a pretty good consistency. It's not really the peanut butter I've used in the past, but it's not thin enough to run out either. I think this is about the best we could hope for. All right, so that's that. I feel like we smushed it down in there at least halfway or more. So I think whenever we collapse this thing, I think it's going to do what we need it to do. Again, a lot of it's going to smush out, but there's really nothing we can do about that. All right, it's trying to get skin on it, so we probably ought to hurry up here. I'm going to go ahead and go around the perimeter of the back here, and then we'll stick it on there and get some staples in it. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything. It's a little late at this point. I don't want to go nuts. I just want to make sure we have enough. That ought to do it. Oh yeah, it's squishing up in there. Yeah. There we go. That staple acts like it's not wanting to hold there. We'll go ahead and just put a clamp on it so we don't have to worry about it. All right, so our construction adhesive is all dried up now. While I was waiting on that, I went ahead and put some fiberglass resin on this top to seal it. So this should be good to go. So we can pull our clamp off, and we're gonna start working on this lid. And I got some pieces kind of rough cut, nothing's to dimension yet, but I wanna give y'all an idea of the plan here. So I think in the back, we're gonna have something like that. Originally, I was thinking about hinging this thing back here. Just like that, but I'm using a piano hinge, so I don't think that would work. We really need a flat surface here for it to swing on, and we need more room for it to open than that. So I decided to go this route. So we're going to use these. And that's going to create a flat surface here for our door. And then I cut some of these. So this is a 45, 3/4 of an inch, and then I've got it 45'd on the end too. So these are going to go on the bottom of our door like this. So that's going to give us height, and it's also going to give us some meat, because I want to do some shaping on this thing. I don't want it to just be square on the side. I want to put an angle on it and put a good radius on top. I want to radius this corner. So we need wood here to work with, and that's what this is going to be. So if we look at it upside down, that'll be like that. That'll be there. And that'll be there. And again, all it's doing is giving us our height, our thickness, and it's giving us some wood here to work with, so we can put a good angle on it, make it look pretty. So I'm gonna get these pieces cut down, we'll go from there. Right. So now I'm just going to go, and I don't have a particular angle in mind. I just want something that's going to look good, you know, maybe 10 degrees or so. Something like that, maybe. I'll go dial the saw in on that line and see what it is. It's about 15 degrees. So we'll call that good. Probably need a little more blade here. So that's kind of the beginning of the idea anyway. So now you can kind of see why we needed 2 boards worth of height here, you know, so we have plenty of material to contour it the way we want. And so in the end, we'll have a nice big radius here. We'll round it off both ways, you know. So here's what I'm talking about as far as being right up against the cup holder. You know, we don't really want that either. So now we can figure out exactly where we want it, and we just cut the back off straight. I'm kind of thinking we land right in the middle of this board. So we're right on the edge of it now, which means we need to take 3/8 off. Okay, we got our 3/8 cut off. Let's see what we got now. Yeah, I think that's more like it. Now we got a little bit of room here between the cup holder and the edge. Honestly, we could probably take a little bit more off. So we also have to, we're gonna have a hinge in here. We're gonna have 2 layers of, you know, we gotta compensate for 2 thicknesses of leather. You know, all that's gonna be 1/8 or more. Actually, the hinge will probably be 1/8, the leather will probably be another 1/8. So we could probably take 1/4 off of this easy. I think I will too. Starting to take shape. So I'm not going to work this back corner quite as much. So this radius is going to gradually get bigger and bigger because we're going to have to transition back to that square or just a rounded over corner on the box. So if we have a big radius here, it's going to make it really hard to transition. So we're just going to taper it and kind of fade out bigger. And we're going to want that big radius all across the front. I think that's looking pretty good. I think that is coming along nicely. Let's go see what this looks like on there. Oh yeah. That is looking pretty good. And this is the transition I was talking about. You know, this is just gonna have to hook out like this. And it'll all be rounded over too, but you know, it won't have this angle cut into it, into the back. It'll just kind of fade out. But it's gonna look good. So I'm just gonna draw that contour on there. We're flush here. Draw it on the other side here. So what we'll do is we'll take our round over bit and we'll round all this off. Then we'll know what we're blending to, and then we'll take our sander. We may have to do some hand sanding, and we'll knock this corner off, blend it into this round over here. Okay, and we're gonna have quite a bit of filling to do here, but at least now we know where we're headed with our transition. We just have to get from this to this, in that distance. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to do this some other way because I'm gonna end up getting into it everywhere. I've already got into it a little here. We don't want to do that. Guess we're going to the hand sanding. Maybe we use a little block. This is just a simple little block made out of a drop of wood. I just took one of these discs, just wrapped around it, stuck it. Works pretty good. So you don't have to have one of those to do stuff like this. You can do it all with this. This MDF sands really easy, so it's really not that bad. So I think that's pretty much what we're going for. I know it's got a shadow on it, but hopefully y'all can see. There's just kind of a slight radius. You know, it kind of has an arc to it as it fades out. It's not just an angle. So, and once it's wrapped, that should look pretty seamless, I would think. And we got all this rounded over and sanded. So this side is pretty much dealt with. We are going to have to fill this. I think I'm going to use some fiberglass filler to fill in these holes. And we're also going to put some in this corner. That way we can sand a radius in this. Kind of slick that off a little bit. So I'll get the other side to the same stage as this. Then we'll work on getting these spots filled. And we'll pretty much do our finish sanding from there. I want to go ahead and get the filler in this corner here and get these holes filled. And I found a spreader with a radius on it. So it looks pretty good to me. So before I start smearing stuff everywhere, I'm going to lay this radius against the wood. I'm marking where it touches. So then what I'm going to do is take a piece of tape and I'm going to tape this and I'm going to put a couple pieces up here. That way we're not getting it where we don't want it. We don't want to have to do any more sanding than we have to, especially since this is fiberglass filler. It's not going to be a good time, I don't think. But I do think it's the better option than just using regular old filler. Especially since we're going to be pretty thick in the corner here. Maybe overkill for something that's just basically decorative, but it'll be all right. Let's get some of this goo mixed up. That ought to be enough, I think. All right, I think we'll just start right here. Start working it in there. I think I need to scuff this a little bit first. There we go. Okay, we'll get in here with this dude. I think we need quite a bit more. All right, we'll let that stuff dry up and we'll do some more sanding. Well, our fiberglass filler's all dry, and got a little round block here with a fresh piece of 80 grit on it, so see if we can get itchy. Well, that's looking pretty good. That's what we're going for. Got a nice radius back here. A couple little low spots in here, but you know, it's gonna be wrapped again, so that's not gonna matter. Now we'll move on to our radiuses up here, get these cleaned up. Really any shaping involved, we just gotta get it down to those little holes, but I'll get this sanded. I also went ahead and filled all the staple holes, so I'm gonna go ahead and sand all that too while I'm at it. Well, it's starting to look good. It slicked off pretty well. There's one little small piece kind of broke out of there, I guess, but I mean, it's mostly wood here now. I can probably get some wood filler in there and take care of that. Truth be told, it's really not even necessary since it's going to be wrapped. That little That little hole isn't gonna hurt anything, but other than that, it sanded up really nice. All the staples are filled, which I don't reckon that's necessary either, but it's done. But yeah, it's looking good. Well, it's starting to feel like we're in the home stretch, and I guess really we are. But there's still quite a bit left to do. We got to get our lid mounted, you know, with our hinge, get a latch. We need to build our beauty panel / amp rack. We got to get this thing mounted in the truck so it's not just sitting there. Yeah, so quite a bit left to do. So it's gonna have to go one more episode. Sorry. I know this thing's getting kind of long-winded, but there's quite a bit to this. But I appreciate y'all hanging in with me. If you did like it, we appreciate it if you hit the like button. It really does make a difference. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And once you've done that, go down in the comments and type subscribe. That'll get you entered into our monthly tool giveaway. This month it's a little Bosch router. So you can check that out. There will be a link in the description. But we appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.